Although the U.S. is among the countries expending the highest proportion of their gross national product on education, our elementary school and secondary school students never place above the median in comparative studies of academic achievement. Harold Stevenson, an educational researcher.
The structure of our education system is alienating our community and the next generation of educated adults. There is a farce going on within our education system. It has been orchestrated for many, many years, established by evil, manipulative, corrupt individuals, made to deceive and miseducate the masses. Their doctrine for our education system is as such. The quality of education given to the lower class must be of the poor sort, so that the moat of ignorance isolating the inferior class from the superior class is and remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. With such an initial handicap, even bright lower class individuals have little, if any, hope of extricating themselves from their assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to maintaining some measure of social order, peace, and tranquility for the ruling upper class. This excerpt was taken from the Operations Research Technical Manual TM-SW7905.1/Energy from the Policy Committee of the Bilderberg Group. What has been done is our minds have been disengaged and our mental activities have been sabotaged. The educational system has been deliberately made to teach us a lower quality of education in logic, systems design, economics, as well as law, science, mathematics, and real history for that matter. So in a nutshell, our personal technical creativity is slowly disintegrating with each passing generation.
I have no clue about what I want to do with my life. I have no interest because I saw every subject as a study, as work, and I excelled at every subject just for the purpose of excelling and not learning. And quite frankly, I'm very scared. John Taylor Gatto, a retired school teacher and activist critical of compulsory schooling, asserts, "We could encourage the best qualities of youthfulness, curiosity, adventure, resilience, the capacity for surprising insight simply by being more flexible about time, texts, and tests, by introducing kids into truly competent adults, and by giving each student what autonomy he or she needs in order to take a risk every now and then." But we don't do that. Between these cinder block walls, we are all expected to be the same. We are trained to ace every standardized test, and those who deviate and see light through a different lens are worthless to the scheme of public education, and therefore viewed with contempt. H.L. Mencken wrote in the American Mercury for April 1924 that the aim of public education is not to fill the young of this species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is the aim in the United States. To illustrate this idea, doesn't it perturb you to learn about the idea of critical thinking? Is there really such a thing as uncritically thinking? To think is to process information in order to form an opinion. But if we are not critical when processing this information, are we really thinking? Or are we mindlessly accepting other opinions as truth?
The National Education Commission on Time and Learning did a 2-year study on American academics versus foreign countries' academics. The statistics are as follows. 41% of the school day is spent on basic academics, English, math, science, and history, social studies. The rest of the 59% of the school day is devoted to coursework in self-esteem, gym, personal safety, AIDS education, holistic health, family life, driver's education, and consumer training. The American student averages around 1,460 hours spent on academic subjects in 4 years of school. Japan averages 3,170 hours. France averages 3,280 hours, and Germany averages 3,528 hours on academic subjects in 4 years of school. Looking at these stats, the average American student spends less than half the school day focusing on and studying academic subjects. These foreign countries spend an amazingly 2 to 3 times more hours on their academics than students in the United States. This is the reason why it is said that the best and brightest of American students cannot even compare to our foreign counterparts. When America's smartest top 1% students are matched up against the smartest students in other countries, the United States was last on the totem pole. The National Research Council said that the average students in other countries are as proficient in math as the best American students. The second international mathematics study found that the performance of the top 5% of American students is matched by the top 50% of the students in Japan.
These research facts, which are public knowledge and available to the public, proves that our education system is subpar to the education systems in other nations around the world. Is our education system so great that average foreign students matches up to some of our smartest top students in the nation? From the prior description of the education system, our system does not sound so great. As a matter of fact, our school system is idiotic. It is idiotic because we ask way less of our students than any other countries. It is idiotic because this is known and nobody wants to say or do anything about it. This is the intentional dumbing down of the American people. Point blank, period.
My name is Charlotte Thompson Iserbaid, and I served as Senior Policy Advisor in the United States Department of Education under the Reagan administration, during which I had access to all of the most important documents for the restructuring of not only American education but global education. And I'm also the author of The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, which gets into all of this, gives the background of what I saw not only in the Department of Education but as a local school board member. The purpose of education is to change the thoughts, actions, and feelings of students.
Change their feelings?
Yeah, through challenging. It's through challenging. You go up against them and you change them. And you asked a good question, because then he goes on in one part of the taxonomy that is in my book. He says that he can take a student from here to there, from a belief in God or his country or whatever, to being an atheist and not believing in his country in 1 hour.
Every time you turn around, the government is talking about education reform. Yeah, like they are really concerned about the education of American youths with the types of unsuccessful and foolish reforms they have put in place. The truth is that some of these different reforms that was implemented are really the same reform with the same way of doing things, the same goals with a different name. Goals 2000, America 2000, and No Child Left Behind are all the same thing. There is no difference between the three except the president that implemented them. These so-called reforms are all OBE, outcome-based education. OBE mixes academic control with behavior modification. This is a type of social engineering that uses value clarification and behavior modification as instruments to control the knowledge that is obtained and to modify or change behaviors, attitudes, values, and beliefs. It holds the academic achievement of students to the lowest levels of academic achievement. With this type of education system, no one student or group of students will achieve more than others, and the faster learners are held back until the slower learners catch up. The tool used in OBE that changed complex human behaviors, students' beliefs in absolutes of right, wrong, and good and bad, is called HOTS, or Higher Order Thinking Skills. This is basically what parents already teach their children. So with the use of this HOTS tool, the education system, government are having the teachers unteach what parents have already instilled in their children, and teach them the values and beliefs and absolutes of right and wrong and good and bad that the higher-ups want them to have. They are taking the place of raising our children on the hush. It just might be the time to start homeschooling our children.
Education analysis Dwight Williams and Edward Lederman, authors of The ABCs of OBE, What's Wrong with Outcome-Based Education, stated 6 things that were wrong with outcome-based education. OBE prohibits successful students from moving on to more advanced material until every student in the class has mastered the current material. Although theoretically intended to promote group learning, the effect has been to slow advanced students, while slower students slow down even more. OBE denigrates traditional motivations for learning, such as test scores, because under OBE, no student is allowed to fail. OBE is often presented to parents in a disguised form under a variety of names, such as standards-based education. OBE proponents such as Ms. Clinton and Labor Secretary Reich see education as the production of group-oriented, other-directed, corporate employees rather than well-informed, skeptical, individualist citizens of a republic. Although OBE jargon uses attractive terms such as critical thinking, those terms are redefined to mean their opposite. For example, critical thinking means the use of emotion rather than logic to make politically correct decisions. To pay an army of OBE education consultants, schools divert vast resources into retaining teachers to use a program of no proven effectiveness. America's dumbing down de-education stats and data. The result is a tragic legacy of educational mediocrity. More than a decade after A Nation at Risk drew attention to the nation's educational mediocrity, the reading proficiency of 9 and 13-year-olds has declined even further. The 1994 National Assessment of Educational Progress found that a third of American 17-year-olds say they are not required to do homework on a daily basis. Only one high school junior out of 50, that's 2%, can write well enough to meet national goals. Less than 10% of the 17-year-olds can do rigorous academic work in basic subjects. In the United States today, only 1 in 5 9-year-olds can perform even basic mathematical operations. According to the 1990 National Assessment of Educational Progress, only 1 in 6 9-year-olds read well enough to search for specific information and to relate ideas and make generalizations. Only 1 in 4 9-year-olds can apply basic scientific information. Among American 13-year-olds, only 1 in 10 can find, understand, and summarize complicated information. Only 1 in 8 8th graders can understand basic terms and historical relationships. 1 in 8 understand specific government structures and relationships. Only 1 in 8 13-year-olds can understand and apply intermediate scientific knowledge and principles. The NEAT found that the percentage of American 13-year-olds who understand measurement and geometry concepts and can analyze scientific knowledge and principles was among the lowest of many countries in the developed world. The 1990 NEAT concluded that large proportions, perhaps more than half of elementary, middle, and high school students, are unable to demonstrate competency in challenging subject matter in English, mathematics, science, history, and geography. Further, even fewer appear to be able to use their minds well.
There are obvious real-world consequences for this educational decline. American businesses are now spending $30 billion on workers' training and lose an estimated of $25 to $30 billion a year as a result of their workers' weak reading and writing skills. A survey by the National Association of Manufacturers found that nearly a third of American businesses said the learning skills of their workers are so low that they are unable to reorganize work responsibilities. A quarter of American businesses say their ability to improve their products is limited because of the inability of their employees to learn the the necessary skills. In a recent year, the Bell South Corporation in Atlanta found that fewer than 10% of their job applicants met minimum levels of ability for sales, service, and technical jobs. At the same time, MCI Communications in Boston reported that some of its jobs were going unfulfilled because the company could not find enough qualified applicants. In late 1992, executives at Pacific Telesis found that 60% of the high school graduates applying for jobs at the firm failed a company exam set at the 7th grade level. These quotes are taken from Dumbing Down Our Kids, Why America's Children Feel Good About Themselves But Can't Read, Write, or Add, by Charles J. Sykes.
Okay, it's like this. The longer you keep your children in the public or private school systems, then the longer it will take you to deprogram them. You basically need to homeschool your children to put a complete stop to the indoctrination. Your children are being poisoned by the immunizations, their mind is blocked from critical thinking, their subconscious is bombarded with distractions, and they don't have the means to think independently. This is a major problem because the children are our future, right? So what can we do? We must band together and allow a community to raise a child like back in the day. It is all right if another adult corrects your child. You shouldn't get offended. It is not about you. Don't be so selfish. There are some things you can't teach your child, and Yah has allowed people to be in your life for a season and a reason. Think on that.